you know.
Oh yeah, Bill Smith, Custom Records. That's where I took them.
Yeah.
That's once I figured that out. Then once I also figured out, because I remember Popeye telling me he held up an audio tape. He said, "Yeah," he said, "you could turn this into like a CD or a record." And I'm like, "How? Like that doesn't make sense." And I imagined, they would take the tape and and I didn't get it that you could take it, put it on a DAT. Once it was on the DAT, it could become anything at that point.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But you also recorded. So you recorded Game Face, which is Jeff Cadill and Todd Trout and Paul and Bob, but you also did their first band, No Such Thing. Do you remember anything about that at all, or anything about them?
I forgot about No Such Thing too. Yeah, yeah. They, I think, yeah, it must have been just a time where like they were all like coming in so fast that that I just don't have a lot of memories. It's been too long, you know.
You did Head First too. I'm gonna name off bands, and if any of them jog a memory, this will be sort of like those games that people play. Someone says a band, and if it jogs a memory, so you did the band Head First. I believe you did their first 7 inch. You did The Offspring, which we can always talk about them too. I think you did No for an Answer, or maybe you remastered something that got sent to Europe. Did you? I believe you recorded the Carrie Nation 7 inch, which
Yes,
was
yes.
Big
I still
Frank.
have I have copies of all of those sitting around here somewhere. I don't even know where they're at, but yeah, yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I just don't, like I said, I can't remember anything real distinctive
You did
about
Final
any.
Conflict, Function, Olive Lawn, The Vandals,
Oh
Ice.
yeah, yeah. Chuck Treece. I did a lot of Chuck. You know, I have a
Voice
lot of
box,
memories
right or
about
no?
yeah, about Chuck Treece because he was such a minimalist, especially with his drum kit. There was just like he had like a kick drum, a snare, and a hi hat, and it was like that's what I really remember about it. And people would come in and hear him play, and they would go, "Holy cow! How is he making a drum kit sound like that?" Because he was just phenomenal. He was an amazing player.
Just one of those people that like literally had a vision in his head, had a guy like you to record him, and could will whatever he was working with to sound however he wanted it to sound.
Yeah, yeah, there was a really funny chemistry between me and Chuck Treece. I think he was sleeping in my studio for a while when he would come into town to record. I think he was like crashing on my couch in there too. And
Oh yeah, you had the couch behind the console, like you had that
yeah,
whole thing. Oh
exactly,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
okay.
Oh, and I do remember Chuck Treece. I remember picking up Chuck Treece at the airport one day to start a new project, and we were getting on the 55 freeway or whatever it was. I picked him up there at the Orange County Airport, and he said, "Hey, have you ever heard of a band called No Doubt?" And I said, "Nope, never heard of them." And he said, "Well, they've heard of you." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, they're going to be calling you soon to start a project." And yeah, I guess he was in contact with them or whatever. Sure enough, a few weeks later, I think it was Tony Canal or Tom Dumont, one of them called me, and we started doing those sessions.
What was okay now? Like the Offspring, did you see something like right off the bat and go, "There's something's gonna happen," or no?
I really did. I loved them, and it was so discouraging because I loved them. I was like, and I ended up financing the right before they got the record deal. They ran out of money, and I think they ran up like a $3,500 tab or whatever. And I was letting them go because I just loved them. I totally believed in them. I knew they were going to do something. But one of my really good friends came by one day, and we were talking about it. And I kind of said what I just said. That I just love them. And he kind of stopped me and he said, "Yeah, they're good, but what radio station is going to play this stuff?" And that was like so discouraging. It like burst my bubble. It was like, Well, yeah, there was, because all the stations were playing Tom Petty and Fleetwood Mac, and there wasn't it. They really didn't fit. They were very successful live, and doing the college shows and all that, but there really wasn't a radio station that I could hear that stuff being played on, and so, but I never gave up on them. I always knew that they would do something.
When when a band like that is in the studio, where it's kind of I'm assuming a more involved recording, just because musically there's more going on and there's different kinds of instruments. Was the recording process longer? Was it a were they, when they came in, were they tight? Like, and same with like the Offspring. Were these bands that were like fairly dialed in? Did they know what they want? Like, were these things? Because you're a guy, you work with all these bands. Like, bad example. A band like Ice, we didn't know what in the world we want or what in the world we're doing. But I'm saying, you're working with like the Offspring, you're working with No Doubt. Did you notice that about them too? That there was kind of more of a, this is what we're going for kind of thing.
Yeah, no doubt were very defined. They knew. I mean, we did some experimenting, but they pretty much knew what they wanted when they were in there. Um, the biggest unknown was that whenever I started working with them, it was right after their lead singer committed suicide. So they did. So while we were recording, they were auditioning singers, and Gwen was just doing scratch vocals and stuff. She was never going to be the singer in the band, and finally they just gave up, and Gwen started singing all the stuff. But yeah, musically, I mean, yeah, everybody pretty much knew, what they were going to do when we got in the studio. Um, just mainly experimenting with different sounds and like recording techniques and stuff, and just trying to figure out how to get all the stuff that they wanted to do on 16 tracks of tape. I mean, we were just bouncing stuff all over the place trying to figure out how to make room on a 16 track recorder. That was the tough part. Um, I think I think probably the Offspring were kind of freewheeling it a little bit more. They were still kind of experimenting when they came in, and working things out in the studio. Um, but yeah, I don't know. There was something, but it was fun working with all you guys though too, because I knew I recognized the inexperience, and like you guys really respected me, and looked, at, sometimes I almost felt like a father figure. I guess I
Oh
was all
yeah.
older than all you guys. Yeah, so it's like, it was kind of feeling like, my kids were coming in to record today, you know, but and everybody, people that don't know this genre, they have like a really negative outlook on it, I think. And I would always tell people, they would ask me how I could, do this all day long or days on end or whatever. And I always had the same answer. I said, man, you know what? These guys are the nicest kids in the whole world. They totally respect me. We're in there. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to get something good recorded, and it's just really fun to work with you guys. Even though I wasn't really into that genre as much, but I guess everybody just kind of gravitated toward me. They pulled me into it. You guys wouldn't let me get away.
It was like The Godfather, yeah, that line in The Godfather 3. I keep trying to get out, they pull me back in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy. And like, guys would come in, you guys would go, yeah, so here's this band, and I want my guitar to sound like that. And I would have no idea who you guys were talking about. And I just get out there and I go, okay, it's loud, it's crunchy, it's a lot of bottom end. So I'm going to make it work. So I just start throwing mics up, and you guys would just love me.